Right. Okay, welcome back. Yeah, so much stuff to get through. By guesstimation, I would say we're probably on, at this moment in time, on about day 4 of a 2-week NLP course. So if you don't believe me, go and spend £1,000 or more on one and see for yourself that, oh fuck, why have I just spent this money? I already knew it already, which you will indeed do when you leave it. So right, we covered, well, fucking hell, shed loads of stuff. I mean, if I'm totally honest with you, at this moment in time, if I was to teach you 1 or 2 induction methods, how to put people under, so you've got the hypnotic back up, frankly, you already know 99.9% of everything that I've used in the past 20 years of doing this around the world. There is anything else is just the same thing done in a different way, frankly. I'm still going to show you 1 or 2 other things, but as you see them, you'll realise, you know what, it's just the same thing done in a slightly different way. Although occasionally it might have a slightly more psychologically sounding, more logical relevance to the particular issue in hand. That's pretty much it. So anchoring we covered before the break. We're going to, if you're doing a group session, you may want to anchor something positive for the entire audience at once. And therefore it could be a bit problematic or time consuming if you've physically got to go around each and every bloody person in the room. So, ideally you need to be able to instruct people to set their own anchors, which is what we're going to cover now, because when it comes to the complete mind focus session I use pretty much all the time, when it comes to the anchoring bit, I get the people to anchor it for themselves. I don't even touch them. But you may choose that you suddenly particularly like the idea of anchoring something positive for them, and that you want to touch their hands. For whatever reason. You might particularly find that, you know, you particularly feel comfortable getting people to tap and have an inward laugh that, you know, this is complete and utter fucking bollocks. But the fact that it works. What you feel most comfortable with is what is going to help you be the most confident and transmit that positive intent to your client. So this is all open for adaptation within the boundaries of the obvious rules and guidelines we've sort of set out. Now this little next exercise we're all going to do, some of you will be very familiar to you, others less familiar. For some of you, you may never have come across it at all. This is my way of doing it. It's practically identical to what most of the books say anyway, but I might use the odd different word. Don't get too hung up on what it is you have to say to your client, just so long as you remember that when you're referring to the issue they have told you they want to get rid of, whenever you refer to it, you refer to it in terms of it having gone, used to bother you in the past, when it used to happen, and you always refer in terms of you have now become and continue to be a confident, happy, healthy, relaxed monster. Or you have now become and continue to be a totally self-in-control person who's able to say no, thank you, to all those sugary and fatty foods that once in the past you used to eat so much of. You've got your future pace in disassociation. Common sense, it works for anything and everything. Same with sports, it's common sense. You know, in the past when you used to feel nervous taking that penalty goal or putting that ball, it no longer bothers you, worries you or concerns you. Because you have now become and continue to be a confident, happy, healthy, relaxed individual who's totally in peace, calm and focused, and able to just allow their mind to instantly allow their body to make all the necessary movements in the correct manner to ensure that penalty is successful, or that putt is controlled and directed. It's about using common sense, taking what they've said they want to achieve, and then thinking, right, how can I phrase this so that they've left it behind and it becomes their new reality. So I'm going to do an experiment, well, not an experiment, an exercise with you all, where you don't worry, you can stay where you are in the audience, and you will hear every word that I'm saying anyway, so at the end I'll only give you a little slide pointers on what I did and why I did it. You will no doubt become acutely aware anyway of what I am doing and why I'm doing it, because by now you already know all the building blocks. So as much as possible, please try to enter into the process. Well, actually, don't try. If you try, it won't happen. Please enter into the process for your own benefit, so you can take it on board for the positive benefits for yourself, and also so that you have a sense of the feeling of how beneficial this can be for your clients. You do this on a one-to-one, but you can also, it's great for in groups. And I know it's particularly relevant to one or two people in here who sport me in breaks. I'm not going to single you out and say who you are, but if you should have an issue with public speaking or confidence or anything like that, when I ask you to visualise a certain thing in a few moments' time, then rather than just doing a general feel-good thing, actually make it relevant to something you want to deal with. May as well make it worthwhile as well as just a learning exercise.
I heard a gentleman say wait is today, and it's the same with the couch. So you can do that for weight, can't you? Whoever wanted to wait to see themselves.
Yeah, well, yeah. You can to an extent with what we're about to do. I'll certainly say there's one or two other things that might be more relevant if it's in terms of craving and stuff. But in terms of self-image, yeah, what we're about to do is going to be fantastic for that. So I'd like each and every one of you to do, as we said yesterday, put down your handbags, your purses. And the same with the women as well. Fantastic. And I'd like each and every one of you, wherever you are in the room, to, I'm just making sure there is enough room to do this. There's quite a bit of gap between chairs, so that's cool. Definitely room in the front. There's room there. Room there. You've got room. I'd like you to stand up where you are, in front of your chair, so that the back of your legs are sort of touching your chairs. Just so that gives you that little bit of room to be able to take one step forward in a few moments' time when I ask you to do. And I'd like each and every one of you in this room just to close your eyes for your own benefit. This is not hypnosis, because having your eyes closed makes it so much easier to visualise. And if you should find it at all difficult in the past, or have ever found it difficult to visualise, then just imagine saying the words to yourself, like a sentence in your mind. Like the inner voice saying that it's happening. And that too will be fantastic. It's basically whatever feels right for you. Because you stand there, steady and firm at all times, I'd like each and every one of you to take a nice deep breath in through your nose and then out through your mouth. And as you do, you should continue to breathe deeply and regularly in through your nose and then out through your mouth. It's just a sign and a signal to help you relax more completely, but in a manner whereby you can stand steady, firm and safe at all times. And we're going to go on a couple of mental, imaginary journeys in our mind together here today. It's personal and private to you. No one needs to know what you're thinking about. So it can be as wild, as outlandish, as amazingly bizarre as you want, or as personal and relevant to you as it needs to be right now. So to start with in your mind's eye, I'd like you to think of a time in your life when you felt fantastic, proud, confident, in control. It may have been a time when you won an award, passed an exam. It might have been a time with family and friends. It might have been a time when you were on holiday on the beach. It might have been a time where you were with loads of people. It could just equally as simply be a time when you're on your own, feeling calm, safe, secure, relaxed and confident. There's something that's personal and right for you, and if it takes you a little bit of time to think of one of them, then it's also fine to imagine how good it would feel to actually experience that. Were your wildest dreams to have come true right now, this morning? As you continue to take a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Just make that image as bright and as clear as you can, almost as though you're watching it on a television screen. Turn the volume up, turn the brightness up, and in fact move the television screen closer towards you. And as it does, just allow all those positive feelings of energy, of warmth, of confidence, of self-control, of feeling that inner strength within you growing stronger each second. And then just imagine taking that image, and if you want to physically do this, please do, it makes it so much better. Grab hold of it in front of you. Take hold of that image that feels so good. Physically take hold of it. And then very carefully just place it down in front of you. You can almost drop it in front of you if you want. And as you do, you notice on the floor in front of you in your mind's eye there is a circle, a ring. A solid ring that is now safely containing that wonderful image, those wonderful feelings of calmness, of being relaxed, of being confident, of feeling fantastic inside. So you know that they can remain there, always growing stronger and more positive for you in each and every situation. Realising from this moment forward that if in the past, for example, you were once used to be nervous about talking in public, but just so long as you've got that calmness, that confidence, that willpower, that self-esteem within that's now contained within your solid ring of confidence, ring and circle of excellence that's in front of you, you'll always be able to do things that in the past you might have thought were difficult, but you now realise have become so ridiculously easy. And now in your mind's eye, knowing that all those wonderful feelings are there in your ring, your circle of confidence, your circle of excellence, I'd like you to imagine in your mind's eye your perfect you. The perfect you. The you that when you look in the mirror, you'd look in the mirror and you'd think, you know, I'm so proud of myself for achieving all those things. The you that when you look in that mirror, you think to yourself, you say to yourself, you know, instinctively that you feel proud and confident. That sense of achievement within. As you look at the mirror, see yourself and say to yourself in your mind's eye, you know, why did I put off doing these things that in the past used to bother me? Because now I'm so calm, relaxed, confident, and in control in each and every situation, feeling fantastic inside. See that image and turn the volume up, turn the brightness up, turn all the dials up, make that image big and clear. Notice how much better that feels in every nerve, fibre, tissue and muscle in your body, from the tips of your toes to the tips of your fingers, feeling so good right now, realising that you can reach out and bring that image towards you and allow it to become your reality. Reach out, bring it towards you in your mind's eye. And when you know you've got that there, safe, secure, the perfect you, feeling good, place it down into your ring, into your circle of confidence, your circle of excellence in front of you. And as you look down now in your mind's eye towards the circle of confidence, your ring of excellence on the floor in front of you, you see there's the perfect you, and that makes you feel fantastic for the future. And you can see there's the perfect happy times from the past also, all mixed together, making it feel even better with each second that passes by, helping you have all that inner willpower that you ever need whenever you need to draw upon it as an automatic reflex action. Allowing you to have that inner peace, calmness, and confidence to do whatever you want to do in the easiest, relaxed, enjoyable, fun manner where you feel a fantastic sense of achievement. And on 3, knowing that those things are safe, locked, glued, welded, cemented into your ring of excellence, your circle of confidence. Now in your mind's eye, I'd like you to finally imagine an image of yourself doing one thing, one particular thing that's important to you, differently. For some, this may be having that confidence, willpower and calmness inside to feel secure in the idea of speaking in public. For other people, this could be the idea of saying, no thank you, I don't want no sugary or fatty foods. And knowing that you have that inner willpower. So this time, make the image really personal. Something that in the past you wanted to achieve, and something that you used to think would have, in the past, been difficult to achieve. That you now realise in your mind's eye as you make that image can and has become so ridiculously easy to achieve in your mind's eye, this visualisation right now gets so fantastic. See that image bigger, brighter, clearer. Turn up the volume so you can really feel it, see it, experience it in every nerve, fibre, tissue and muscle in your body, from the tips of your toes to the tips of your fingers. Reach forward and grab hold of your wonderful new future. Bring it towards you. And as you do, just amplify that. Notice how much better you feel with each second. And when you know you've got that new future there that you can move towards in a way that's right for you, rapidly, far quicker than you ever thought in the past may have been possible, but in a way that proves itself to be so ridiculously easy, then I'd like you to take those feelings and put them down into your ring of confidence, your circle of excellence. Knowing that all of those fantastic feelings, as you look down at that ring of confidence, it's almost like some magic wishing well full of all these wonderful, fantastic feelings, emotions, desires, motivations to enable you to most definitely achieve whatever you want to achieve with the greatest of ease. And now, I'd like you to, in your mind's eye, and if you'd like to, it makes it even better for you, to reach down and pick up your ring of confidence, your circle of excellence, realising that contained within it remains all those positive feelings. Pick it up, take hold of it, and now, physically, in your mind's eye, start to shrink that ring down. In other words, squeeze it together so it gets smaller, but as it gets smaller, that compresses all the positive feelings from all those 3 visualizations, all those 3 new realities, coming together in one. Fantastic, confident, calm, relaxed, safe, secure, in control, feeling good inside right now about yourself in every way, growing stronger each second of each minute of each hour, week, month and year from this moment forward. And start to compress that ring down, because the more you compress it down, the more they get moulded, welded, cemented together in a way that's right for you, so that you can take these feelings with you whenever you need to and automatically draw upon them. There's an automatic reflex action giving you all that willpower, all that inner confidence, all that wonderful feel-good self-esteem about yourself, enabling you to do whatever you want to do with the greatest of ease. As you shrink that ring down, compress it down, get it to the point where some of you might have squeezed it so much that you need to slightly expand it, I don't know. And I want you to be able to take that ring and place it. If you're a right-handed person, I want you to place it onto your left wrist over your hand. If you're a left-handed person, I want you to place it over your right wrist over your hand, onto your wrist. And then, using the finger and thumb of your hand that you've used to place it over the wrist, squeeze your wrist nice and tight, and as you do, just allow all those feelings of the perfect you to flood your body. Notice how good that feels. Allow all the feelings of that wonderful experience from the past to flood your body from the tips of your toes to the tips of your fingers and allow all those wonderful feelings of the new you doing that particular thing that you in the past wanted to achieve and now can achieve with the absolute greatest of ease. Allow each and every one of them to flood your body and really press hard, fix it there so you know it's there, and then just let go of the circle. That's fantastic. Take a nice deep breath in. And each and every one of you realise now, just take a few moments to realise all those feelings remain with you forever from this moment forward. And whenever you should need to, in any situation, if you ever need a little bit more willpower or self-confidence, or you should ever encounter a situation in the future where for one split second you should feel slightly nervous, then all you need to do is make your ring of confidence with your finger and thumb around your wrist for a split second, press hard, and it will fire off all these feelings. Just prove that to yourself, in fact. Go there, press really hard and let those feelings of positivity for the future, the fantastic feelings from the past flood in your body, and the fantastic feelings of that thing that you've achieved and continue to achieve happening, and then release it, knowing that you've got that there for the rest of your life, that you can trigger whenever you need to. Take a nice deep breath in. Open your eyes, feel fantastic, and whenever you're ready, you can just relax and sit down. Well done, everybody. Fantastic. There was some proper facial expressions, gangster tripping. Right, that's what there goes. My take on what we call in NLP the circle of excellence, or the ring of confidence, or that's what they call it, but the fact of the matter is you can put inside that ring whatever you want. Self-esteem, confidence, willpower. And by being ambiguous on one of the, if it's one-to-one and you know what the client's dealing with, you can obviously verbalise things far more directly and specific to them. But in this environment, I've got to leave it so that you fill in the blanks yourself. So obviously there's the past, a fantastic time from the past. Not make one up. Then there's the perfect you in the future, how good it will feel. And then there's whatever the issue or challenge that you're dealing with at that time in hand is. It's about turning up the brightness, the volume, making a change, which we already learnt about, bringing it closer to, and putting it into this ring of that's on the floor. Basically what you heard me say something along those lines, people will have a similar effect. And at the end, it's this bizarre imagery of you've got all three of them together, and as you squeeze it together, it's compounding all these feelings together into one fantastic, bright future. And my voice tone got louder and excitable, so it's like a sense of it's happening right now. Obviously with a group, if you're right-handed, use your left hand, you know, explaining which hand to use, over the hand, and then it's just anchoring it to the wrist rather than the back of the hand. Except with this, the person's doing it themselves. And then obviously, nice deep breath in, and just prove to yourself, and you're going to fire it off one time just to prove to themselves, that's the evidence, so to speak, and that's it. Then your final line of, just take a few moments to allow those new feelings to take over your body, much the same way as we said with pretty much all the different scenarios, including strawberry therapy down here, so that it takes effect, and then get them to open their eyes. Job done. Any questions? Because one or two people, definite faces then when they came down like, next to trippy. Well, yeah, you've got, so I can see everyone's face. There's some people are definite. Whoa. But you can fire that off whenever you want to. But don't overuse it. Because like we said before, if you overuse it, you're wearing it out, almost, so to speak. But now you know the exercise. If there's a particular situation in life, you could go through this exercise yourself in your mind's eye and make a ring of confidence, whether it be a finger ring for a certain finger, so you know that that's the finger to fire it off, whether it be for your wrist, whether it be appropriate for it to be being serious, perhaps it's appropriate for a man, maybe not for a woman, but for it to be an imaginary nipple ring, so that they could just casually, if they needed to, on public speaking occasionally, just touch themselves like that to fire it off. It's about making it appropriate so that other people don't think. It's about it being personal and private to you, which also adds a level of value and importance to it, which is going back to all the stuff we said about yesterday. Any questions on that before I move along? Because that's pretty much all I want to tell you about anchoring, really. No? I will assume by that deafening silence that means you've understood that in good. Brilliant. Okay, so we've covered how to instill anchors, okay? And I would call them positive anchors. Now, this is an oxymoron. You can use the exact same technique to instill a negative anchor for a positive purpose. Now, in truth, you can use the same techniques to install a negative anchor. That will be unethical and borderline illegal, depending on the context you were doing that in. But yes, it is possible in conversation to install negative anchors, to incite people to feel angry, let's say, about a particular race of people in a political meeting. Well, that, frankly, is unethical. It's not what you're going to be doing as a therapist. But yes, it is possible. What I mean by negative anchors that are positive is, if someone is currently, shall we say, a smoker, let's take smoking, it could be the same for drinking too much alcohol or drugs or whatever, you may want to give them an anchor that if at any time in the future they feel a craving or desire for that drink or that cigarette or that drug, that they can fire off the anchor and it will make them feel like the smoking. Sometimes I'll anchor something so that they, only in severe cases, because generally I will only use CMT, but you can instill an anchor perhaps along the lines of, I want you to imagine in your mind's eye that you were smoking, you are smoking a cigarette that is so horrible and disgusting. Imagine the first time you ever had one. Nowadays it was terrible, it's 100 times worse. And imagine it's almost like donkey shit running down your throat. And as you do, it's almost like you can feel your organs in your body starting to degenerate. Yeah, and you can see the loved ones around you dying. Pain. Get them to anchor it. But verbalise it that whenever you need to in the future, should you ever feel a split moment of indecision, should you, thus implying they probably won't, not when you, should you, because you want to give the impression that it's unlikely to happen, just like a safety net. Should you feel that slight element of craving, then you can just immediately fire off your ring of confidence. In that very moment, that very second, you'll feel in your mind's eye, exactly as you do now, that horrible donkey shit running down your throat, or whatever it is that you've gotten to visualise relevant to their issue. So that moment of aversion, that's what they call aversion therapy in therapy, oddly. When they fire it off, again it's like, oh no, actually I don't want one right now. And with a bit of repetition over a few days, the more somebody successfully avoids doing something, the more natural and habitual it becomes not to do it. Or if it was something they're not doing that they want to do, like spending an extra 10 minutes to start off with a day at the gym, let's say, if it was sports, you give them the motivation to do that, and if they feel like they're getting a bit tired, well, they need, and it's been okay with the guy at the gym who's checking their physical health, who says, yeah, you can push yourself that little bit further. So obviously health and safety, common sense involved here. You could get it so that they can press their anchor and suddenly they've got that bit more energy. Or that by triggering the anchor it could release saliva automatically into the mouth to give them that more pain threshold, or rather discomfort threshold, because we don't mention pain, do we? It's a negative. To help them push that a bit further, and after a few days of having done this, it will become habitual to be able to do it that it becomes automatic. And that's when either then, with sports psychology, because you might be seeing a person fairly regularly, you would ask them what their next goal along the step was, and set things up for that, or you would have taught them how to do it for themselves. The choice is yours. Well, that's sort of, the uses of anchoring. And especially how to use a negative anchor in a positive way. Right. I personally never use, well I say never, I have used just a couple of times to see and prove to myself the fact that this works, what I'm about to show you. So I have total faith in the fact that it works. It's just that frankly, I feel that it's quicker just to, if someone's got a negative anchor in their life at the minute, and the negative anchor, let's say maybe that they have really big cravings for biscuits or something. But when they eat them, they feel good. But they know that continuing to do that is not going to enable them to achieve their goal of losing the weight. So that's a negative anchor. But because they're getting a positive gain feeling by eating them, but it's also contradicting what they want. Then you ideally want to be able to collapse that anchor, which is what I'm going to explain to you. However, personally, I probably wouldn't even bother. I'd just do complete mind therapy, which I'm about to go through shortly. And the process of it is such that it would override whatever programs were already there to such a level to rewire the pain and pleasure that we spoke about, that in that process it will automatically collapse the anchors. But you may choose to make up your own strawberry therapy or something at a different slant where you decide to use a technique like this. So I figure, you know, it's worth you knowing. So, is there somebody who has got, in the context of the explanation I've just given, something that they would say is a negative anchor in their life in terms of if they were to think about it, they either get a craving or something, or if they think about it, it makes them feel angry or down or not so good about themselves as they should. Anyone at all fit into one of those categories on anything? Or are we sort of like played roll up? We just generally, is that a pointing of pen, yes, or?
I have something, but I don't want to be there all the time. This
Right. Anyone else? We can do two at once. Not two chairs.
What does that what it is?
No, you can do this content free. No, oh. Now, the moment I say content free, hands start shooting up. Right, okay, if you like to take a seat, who else put their hands up? Well, you're sat near enough to me, so if you come forward, sir. You're sat there, so I can get between the three of you, so that's all right. Great. The moment I say content free, hands start shooting up.
Is it legal schools?
Yeah, is it legal to do three things? Yeah, indeed.
Just check.
Right. Obviously, when you're dealing with a client one-to-one, the chances are they're going to be more than eager to tell you what the issue is. Because quite often when people come to therapies, they just want a sounding board. Chad Vera, who founded the Samaritan, said, don't just do something, sit and listen. In sales, they say you've got 2 ears, 1 mouth, use them in that proportion. Quite often people just want to get shit off the chest and they feel better for it. It's life, it's human nature. Okay, our 3 volunteers, as you sat where you are, what I'd like you to do, take a rest of your breath in and just close your eyes. And just take a few moments to imagine in your mind's eye that situation, issue or challenge from the past that used to bother you, worry you or concern you. And just take a few moments to get a sense and a feeling of that. And when you get a sense and a feeling of that and the way it used to make you feel, the things you wanted to change, remove, eradicate, then just open your eyes. Okay? Now on a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being no problem, no issue, no concern, and 10 being the worst it's ever been, almost like ripping your hair out, like, "Ugh, couldn't be any worse," how bad up here on that scale would you say it is, giving it a number? What number would you give it, sir?
8.
An 8, a 10, a 10. Okay. Take a nice deep breath in. Close your eyes. I'd like you to place both your hands onto your legs in front of you, lap face downwards. Okay. In a couple of moments' time, I am going to touch the back of your left hand. The back of your left hand. That very moment that I touch the back of your left hand, I'd like you to make that picture of the past, the thing that used to bother you really badly, as bright as you can, as terrible as you can, because it's time to say goodbye to it. Okay? And I touch you on the back of your left hand. Make it as clear as you can, right? Now it's on your left hand. Clear as you can. Now it's on your left hand. Make it really clear. As clear as you can. Right now it's on your left hand. Knowing that is where the negative of the past is, on your left hand. And now just open your eyes. Open your eyes. Brilliant. And do something very similar, just ever slightly different. So just take another deep breath in, close your eyes. I want you to conjure up in your mind's eye now a positive picture, a fantastic picture. I suppose you could say the direct opposite of what was once negative in the past. Something that makes you feel good, calm, relaxed, safe, in control. Something that you know deep within you totally overrules that computer program in your mind from the past. And when I tap you on the back of your right hand, each and every time I tap you on the back of your right hand, just let that image of positivity grow stronger and stronger and stronger. And let it flood every nerve, fibre, tissue and muscle in your body from the tips of your toes to the tips of your fingers. Brighter, stronger, you say. Brighter, stronger. See that positivity. Feel it. Brighter, stronger. See it. Feel it. And I touch on the back of the right hand. It's brighter, stronger. Fantastic. Brighter, stronger. Brighter, stronger. More positive. And I touch on the back of the right hand. It's brighter, stronger. Brighter, stronger. Brighter, stronger. Fantastic. Take a few moments. Feel that positivity. And now just open your eyes. That's good. Feels better than me, doesn't it? Yeah, cool. Smile as well, that's recognition. Finally, we're going to do this. It's a little bit weird. I'm going to have to come to you one by one, so you'll know when I'm with you because I'll be touching the back of your hands, okay? And we won't bother you. So take a nice deep breath in. Just close your eyes down once again. When I touch your left hand, you already know that that's the past. When I touch your right hand, you already know that's the here and now, that's the future. Past. That's true. Well, that's flood your body in your mind. Past and future. To let that flood your mind and body. Get ready for the past and future. But it's just future, bright, fantastic, bright. Just take a few moments to allow those wonderful feelings to flood your mind and body in a positive way that feels right for you, from the tips of your toes to the tips of your fingers. That is brilliant. I can see it happening in your eyes, and I'm sure people looking closely can see the rapid eye movement. Could see the significant change of what actually really did genuinely happen there. It is a physiological change. In a few moments, when you feel it's an appropriate moment for you, you may just open your eyes. Brilliant. Good. Nice smiley face. That's fantastic. Feeling better. Okay, there's only one final thing we need to do, because it's sort of job done, but I just need to, for the sake of this demo, just ask you to, in a few moments, close your eyes and just try to recreate the feelings that used to bother you in the past. But I'm going to do this one by one with you, okay? So I'm going to start here and move this way around. So, talking to you, my darling, try, just close your eyes, try to recall those feelings of the past, but remember, future, future, fantastic, future, 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 future. Nice, good, fantastic. I know it's daft, isn't it? Just open your eyes. Coming to you, sir. Just take a few moments to try and remember those feelings of the past, but it's future, it's future, it's future, it's fantastic, it's fantastic, it's brilliant, it's brilliant, it's good, it's good, it's good. Just open your eyes. To you, sir. Just take a few moments now to try to get those feelings from the past, but realise it's the future. It's bright, it's fantastic, it's good, it's brilliant, it's brilliant, it's brilliant, it's brilliant. Open your eyes. Everyone open your eyes. Open your eyes. Okay? On a scale of 0 to 10, with 10 being the worst it ever was in the past, 0 being no problem, gone completely, how much lower now, how much further down would you say it is on the scale? What number would you give it now? 0. Fantastic.
2.
About 2. That's still fantastic.
About 2.
About 2. Okay, we can say, thank you very much, that's going to stay there for you. Whenever you need to, you can just trigger off that. Brilliant, you're going to have do you feel that 2 is an appropriate number for you to leave that at? Because only you know personally and privately to yourself what issue or thing that you were dealing with. Is that at a level now that you feel fine with, or would you like to take it that little bit further? That's fine. That's fine. In that case, give this gentleman a round of applause. And is that at a level that's not there for you? In that case, give this gentleman a round of applause. Okie dokie. That is, now that we've done it and that worked, let me tell you that's my slightly fucked up version of collapsing an anchor. Hey, but it works. But only those people that have done collapsing anchor training before may have been thinking to themselves, that's not exactly how you're supposed to be fucking doing it. However, the point is it worked. And if you do what I just did, it will still work, because the ultimate point of collapsing an anchor, however you do it, whether you follow this breakdown that I'm about to go through with you, or whether you do it exactly as I just did, is to make the here and now, stroke future, positive anchor, be far stronger and cancel out that which gets signified as the past. Which is why the negative side, I only press their hand once. We've got the anchor there, but when it comes to the positive, I press it 3 times for intensifying the feeling. And then, each time we broke state by getting them to open their eyes, we've already covered that. At the end, I get them to close their eyes, and each time take a nice deep breath in and out. It's all the stuff we talked about, a bit of disorientation and helping you oxygenate the blood and all that stuff. When I want to collapse the anchor, actually I couldn't think of it, I only fucked up on one person. The other 2 I did right. When you come to the 3rd time round, so you've gone negative on one hand, once, you've gone positive on the other hand 3 times, power of 3, more powerful, so you're already starting to outweigh it. And then, this is where the confusion comes in, which you display fantastically in your face. Well, all 3 of you did, it's just that only 2 of you were facing the audience direction, but I had the benefit of seeing all 3. But you especially, when it came to the collapsing the anchor bit, I come up and I go, get ready for the past and future. And boom! Both hands at the same time get touched. So both of those anchors, the negative and the positive, are fired off at the same time. Now, the positive's already stronger, because it's been done 3 times, than the negative. So it causes a sense of confusion. Well, confusion and disorientation in itself, anyway, is one of the key components to hypnosis and trance, and making someone so suggestible that what you said is going to be taken on board. So there's that moment of confusion. In your case, what a fantastic facial expression and so on. And your head sort of went, what the feck's going on? That's what he said to me in a non-verbal manner. So if both of them get touched at the same time, pressure on both, then after a couple of seconds, only literally a second or two, I remove my fingers from the back of the negative hand so that the positive has taken over from the negative. I'm only left touching the positive. And that then floods you with all the positive, which is wiping out the negative. We then break state again, our eyes open, nice deep breath in, have a sigh. Sometimes I'll say, when you sigh outwards, when you breathe out and go, it's like a sense of relief after having done something difficult and then feeling, that's better. So it's got that inbuilt suggestion almost. And I'll say, right, fine, just close your eyes and try to get that feeling, law of reversed effort, that you used to have in the past, future pacing, disassociation. And if they do, I just tap their positive anchor and go, future, future, future. So that's even making it even more difficult. And the moment they've got that evidence that they can't get into what it was, and you calibrate it with the calibration trick, which you already know, so that they say a lower number, they've immediately, by saying that lower number, embedded it in their head that it has gone that lower, and even though you know the tricks, and already knew all the tricks, even when you know the tricks, these things still work on you, as long as you allow them to, which means actually going through the process, which these people did fantastically. So that's what I just physically did then. The order up here, which may be ever so slightly different, can I just make it up as I go along, frankly? All the key points are there. Is number one, rapport, explain what's to happen. Well, I do it as I go along. People have actually got intelligence to understand what you're saying. Some of these books seem to think everything has to be mapped out. Get them to think of a negative state to collapse, something they want to get rid of, and also to already get a positive one. Well, the only thing I did different there is I did the negative first, and when I wanted to do the positive, then I got them to think of it. Essentially all the same. You should check there's no anchors in place already in the areas that we're going to use. But if there is, through collapsing this anchor, you could collapse something they've already got anchored in that position, or you could really confuse things to fuck. So just check. I didn't. So do what I say, not what I do. Okay?
How are you going to say?
You ask them, have you got anything already anchored? And if they go, what the fuck do you mean? Then it's safe to assume you're fine. If they're not consciously aware, you're alright, pretty much. Yeah? On here, and this is the sort of textbook way, it says, do the positive first. I didn't then. I do the negative one once, and then end up doing the positive 3 times. Most of the textbooks will tell you to do it the other way around. Obviously in between getting them to break state. And the reason, and I very rarely do this anyway, because I say other techniques achieve the same end result, but the reason I do it that way is because the number 3, yeah, is basically, it's a bigger number. It's the power of 3. It's what we talked about yesterday, yeah? And you're trying to make the positive greater than the negative. The pleasure greater than the pain, tying in with everything we spoke about. So if you do the positive first, and then get them to do the negative, in theory it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It still collapses when you fire them both off together. However, I just think that anyone who might have a bit of an analytical mind and try and logicalise things, that because positive is the number 3, and you're doing it 3 times, there's an inbuilt suggestion, non-verbally, when you touch them, that that is stronger and more important than the negative side. But it's up to you. Either way around, it still works the bloody same, frankly. It doesn't matter one iota, but I just think that.
I think also as well, is because you're actually going from the negative to the positive. If you start with the positive and then go back, so you do the positive first, by actually going to the negative afterwards, you're actually going backwards. You're not
And it's the
moving
most
forward.
recent thing you thought about.
You're not moving
Yes.
forward. At least that way you're moving
Yeah.
forward all the time.
The way I just did it is the way I'd do it. This is your stereo textbook, typical way it's described in books, which frankly, it's up to you. It works still, but I just think this works better. Break state and check, we've already done that. You fire both at the same time, but I prep at roughly the same pressure. Although they tell you to do them at the same pressure. I've got to be honest with you. When I do it, I do press them both so that they start off at the same pressure, but then I press slightly more on the positive as I'm removing my fingers from the negative. So that it's not just a case of the negative's now gone, it amplifies the positive more as you're removing the fingers from the negative. That makes sense, so that then they feel a sense of change, which is what the old bloody point of it all is. So you release the negative, you keep that in that position for a few seconds as I was saying it verbally, amplifying it. Future, future, future. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Like a sense of excitement, it's good. And then give it a couple of seconds, take your fingers off, fire it again if you want so they can feel. Notice how good that is and get the smile. Get them to open their eyes. Calibration trick. Job done. That's collapsing anchors. Does that make sense? Any questions? Take it that means that makes sense. Good. Oh yeah, go on.
So you labelled this whole section collapsing negative anchors, although admittedly some of the participants here may not have had it as an anchor, so I'm just trying to understand the definition here. People came up maybe saying that...
Right. Collapsing negative anchors. Anything that is holding you back in your life, or you perceive as holding you back, is an anchor. Like the ship, hold it, you know, the anchor on the ship, holding it back. Now, if someone is, so that's how I explain it. Now, your more NLP typers might say, oh, well, that person's got, you know, they always smoke, let's say, with their right hand, holding the cigarette. So they've got some sort of visual anchor to seeing the cigarette and apparently needing that cigarette to their right hand. They could rationalise and justify that therefore their right hand is already anchored to the idea of smoking. So they could collapse that anchor by using this technique. Personally, I think it's most useful if you are going to use it. As I said, it doesn't matter if it's content-free, already you know what it is, whether it's emotional, a craving, or whatever. It's just about anything in life that's holding you back is an anchor. It's just a winky-wanky title they've given it. I mean, the people in the room have actually done an LP course. Does that make sense? Because I know they explain it all very differently than this.
So how does that then differ to what you did with yesterday? For example, what was holding you back was, you know, the wind. So would that equate to this as well? I mean, that was essentially something holding him back. So how does that...
If we'd have bothered to anchor to one of his hands on that negative feeling that it was in the past, and then once, and then 3 times on the other hand, all the positive feelings are riding about, we know where his concerns or whatever, then yeah, essentially, you could do the exact same thing and get the same result. That's the whole point of all the techniques we've done, whether it's tapping, pulling something out, changing his colour, whether it's visualising something, bringing it closer, or if it's to get rid of something from the past, pushing it away and destroying the TV set. Doesn't matter what the technique is. All of those techniques can do all of the fucking jobs. Yeah, exactly. The only reason I'm sharing so many different techniques with you is so that A, you feel you've got value for money, B, so that you think, oh, I'm equipped, I've got stuff in the toolbox, And seek, if I didn't, the day had run shorter than it's supposed to. D, to show off a bit the fact they work, to hopefully inspire you that whatever you use, whether it's invisible strawberry therapy, tapping, whatever, that this stuff works. And I'm not anything special, you can do this too. And flexibility, the fact that, you know, if you're using the same technique all the time, and there's people that do, that everything, it could get a bit fucking boring for you. You want to make it pleasurable when you're doing it for yourself. There's nothing I love more than having somebody sit down, like the richest man in, and I'm not going to mention the country, because if I do, then it sort of gives it away who he is, because he's the richest man in that country, and you can soon find out on the internet. Flying to England, coming to my home, for a relatively simple issue that frankly I could have dealt with over the telephone by talking him through the process on a hands-free phone. That's the point, that these techniques could be used over the phone, over a webcam. Obviously not collapsing the anchors in that manner because you're not going to be able to touch them, but the others, getting them to follow along tapping or reshaping, can. So it opens up the market, the internet to you worldwide for a client base. More money, think about it. How was I going with that then? Yes, relatively simple thing, but he decided he was coming, and there was nothing sort of more satisfying than having the richest man in this place sat in my house going, and I think I probably got him to do it 6 or 7 times. It wasn't necessary. His eyes clearly moved at one point, meaning there was some sort of change, like you've noticed before. But it made me feel warm and fuzzy inside, thinking,
Especially when you bring the chair.
yeah, well, that was another story. I quoted him a fee, and it came to payment time, and he put a cheque down on the table, and one of these big fancy banks goes, write it out yourself. And I said, no. In fairness, we're already giving you the price, that's how much it is, we had a deal, that's it, sort of thing. So if you can just write it out while I pop to Lou, I popped to Lou, come back, wrote the cheque, folded it in half, left it on the table. I know exactly who he is, so I've no reason to pick that up and look at it. Never met him before, but I trust him. It's sort of not going to look good for him if a cheque bounces. Right? So I'm pretty safe in the knowledge here. Member of the general public, it would have been cash up front. This person, it was fairly safe. And when he'd gone, I opened the cheque, I thought, well, there you go, he's paid me the fee that I said it'd be. It was only when he'd gone I realised there was an extra note on the end. And to him it was pocket change. But anyway, as to how you get clients like that, I'll cover that a bit later on towards the end of the day. But the point is, it can get boring otherwise. You're doing the same thing over everything. Even though you know it works and there's a sense of satisfaction doing it, and it can pay well, and you can use it on yourself. I mean, it's less of an aggro when you're doing it on yourself because you know you're getting the real benefit from it. It's just nice sometimes to think, fuck it, you know, one day you're a bit fed up, you know what I'm going to do today? Oh, I've got a client in, we're going to go and buy a bag of fruit. Fuck it. Improvise. Do some fruit therapy with them. If you follow the structure we've covered, whether it's a habit, fear, addiction, phobia, or what we're going to cover the conventional phobia cure shortly, it will work.
Yeah, sorry, before you move on, really just to wrap up on this point, if an individual comes along and they're struggling to carry out the visualizations, whatever they may be, that we've been obviously learning about this morning, what are there processes that you might be able to share later on during the day, for example, which can get them into a deeper state, perhaps, where their conscious mind isn't so antagonistic, for example? And somebody's sitting there and you're saying, okay, visualize visions, I can't do that.
Some people will, like I said, some people will say that, in which case you say, well, just say verbally inside your head, say the sentence. It will have the same effect. It doesn't matter whether they visualise it or not. Whether you or just use the word pretend. Pretend that you can visualise. And if they are frankly that resistant, you could hypnotise them, but there again you're still going to hit the same barrier of visualisation if they're going to make that such an issue. Yeah, if you wanted to, you could be a nasty bastard, stick them under and ramp up verbally, mega aversion therapy like we covered verbally. But in truth, if they've resisted up to that point, they're not fucking ready for change. And to be honest, if you've advertised yourself right, and the person's paid you up front in cash, that ain't going to happen. You've already laid down the ground rules before they show up at a session, which is what you say goes. There's only one person who's right in that consulting room. That's you, the therapist. Which goes totally against what most therapy will tell you. I'm telling you now, you want to be successful. When the client comes to see me, they're told, and I make no bones about it, I tell them straight, there's none of this fucking rapport building in the conventional manner. You've come to see me, you've seen my fucking website, and I will effing Jeffrey. I am the fucking best there is. That's why you're here. That's why I'm expensive. That's why I'm the one who's fucking treating all the celebrities. That's why you're here. Let's be honest about it. I'll pester her till they go, yeah, we've got no fucking choices, man. Because otherwise, why are they there? They've seen one of my ads. You can't not say. I say, well, it's like this. It works simply. You want to get rid of your problem that you came in this room with right now, gone completely, or you want to carry on with your sad little life. I thought, if they're paying me, I'm fucking telling you. I'll be Mr. Nice Guy this weekend. On a one-to-one, I'll be a cunt with them. But they're paying for the privilege of me being a cunt with them. But here's the other thing. As a hypnotist, I'm sorry, but the perception is, people go on about, they're scared about the idea of going to see a hypnotherapist or something because they might end up running around like a chicken. And that question comes up, and when people ask me that question, they say, you're not going to get me to run around like a chicken, are you? My answer is not to take fucking ages explaining stage hypnosis is different than hypnotherapy, which is bollocks anyway, because it's identical. And all the fucking therapists that are brainwashed to think otherwise are exactly that, wankers who've been trained incorrectly. It is fucking identical. But rather than wasting time telling them something that's a lie anyway, the fact they're asking it means they think it's possible that you could do that. So play on what they already believe and use it to your advantage, and rather than say, no, I can't do that, which is actually a negative because you're saying you're not as good as the stage hypnotist have seen, say, well, which I do, I say, well, yeah, I can. By all means. Do you want me to? And obviously they'll go, no. And you go, oh, well, that's all right then, because I was going to say, it takes some time, and you've only paid for an hour of my time, and then we won't have enough time to sort your issue out that you came with. So what's it to be? Chicken? Or new life? And they'll go, oh, new life, that's it. The objection's out of the way. Especially when you make it now cold hard cash. But also at the same time, you've instilled the idea definitely in their head that you can do that, which means you're as good, if not better, than the stage hypnotist they saw on telly or whatever. Don't try and tell them something that, you know. And ironically, people, even if they say, oh, I'm a bit scared about it, fuck off. If you come to the office, you pay the money, they're not scared about it. They're attention-seeking fuckwits that need help. They quite clearly don't feel enough love, feelings of wanting to be loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished or valued, human nature. They just want to be the victim. It gives them some element of attention or gain. And that's where the majority of your clients will come from. I'm sorry, there's a lot of you in this room that fall in that category. And that includes myself. Right? Each and every one of us. You know why? Because you're all breathing. We're all humans. It's a natural human instinct to want to feel important. Especially when you're paying a load of money out. You want to feel when you're getting value for money important. So I fucking tell them straight. This is how it works. You either do what I say, and it will work, or if you don't, and rest assured, if it doesn't work, it's all your fucking fault. And I make it clear up front. Because even on my advertising, this is a lovely little phrase, Matthew Manning, the spiritual healer, used it. It means that no one can ever claim a refund off you legally. You are paying for my time. The treatment comes free. How can you claim a refund on something that's free? You can't. They're paying for your time, which they can never give you back. Just a little line I think you might find rather useful. You are paying for my time. The treatment comes free. I mean, if you actually look at the web page for this event, very small print at the bottom of it, before it goes offline, it will actually say on there you're paying to spend time with me. The training comes free. Put it on everything, just sort of. Obviously, it's small bit of print, so it's not a mega. It's there. Okay. Just a useful little side tip. But it also means you can take control. And the thing is, a hypnotist is supposed to be someone who is in control. It doesn't say in books on hypnosis, give them a hypnotic request. You're not going to go, right, I'd like you please very much to do this in a few moments' time. No. Because you come across as being weak. You've got to be in control. You do have to dominate them. Now there's books that say there's different forms of hypnosis. Paternal, motherly, indirect, bollocks. However you look at them, all hypnosis is about dominating somebody's mind and telling them what to fucking do and when to do it. Whether you do that in a nice, low, soft tone of voice, a high tone of voice, or whatever, doesn't remove from the fact that what you're doing is telling them what to fucking do and when to do it. As we covered yesterday. Induce, deepen, test, instruct, suggestions, or as I prefer to call them, commands, because you phrase it as though it is happening, has happened and continues to happen. Awaken. Right. Yeah.
If you find out someone is already anchored, is this negative and positive anchor has to be on hands or something?
Anywhere. Finger.
Could be on the same hand, or it has to be balancing?
It can be anywhere. It could be on the same hand, but obviously not on the same side of the hand. If they say they've got an anchor, use the other side of the hand. Or use the fingertips, or the finger and thumb, or use their knees. Something that's not likely, unless... Why did I get that mental image? I was going to say something that's not likely to fire off regularly. Unless there's some sort of sex but a bit of common sense, something that's not likely to fire off regularly, okay? So yeah, you can use it, you can use literally anywhere, anywhere, basically. Right, okay. So we've done anchors, we've done collapsing them, we've done circle of excellence, ring of confidence for people, for in groups and one-to-one. We showed you yesterday about like channeling all the negativity into someone's arm, and then the physical release, and you do get a genuine feeling, so it feels better, and you can essentially verbally anchor that to the idea of you've let go of everything. We've shown you ways of getting people to visualise changing the colour, the texture, the shape, the size, the volume of something, then putting it back and having it spin in a direction that's right for them. We explained the fact that in some NLP books you'll read that, well, you can, if they've got like nerve, stage fright, you just ask them what direction it's spinning and get them to imagine spinning it the other direction. And that alone usually is enough. But wait, why? Fuck it, do the lot. Because that way it's even more likely. We've covered that tapping, a mind distraction of some situation, can also work as long as you use the, which we've covered, calibration trick, which can be used in any situation, because as we've covered, we just made up with a random word, improvised strawberry therapy. Worked just as well. You saw the effect of anchoring and collapsing anchors, 11 tools in your toolkit. And to an extent, you saw demonstrated yesterday, but after lunch, I'm actually going to show you, obviously, how to hypnotise people. Quite useful, seeing as I've already demonstrated it, so that you know how to do that element of the process. At which point then you'll be able to also do the direct suggestion or command, as I prefer to call it, therapy of, sleep. So, induce, deepen it by lifting their arm, dropping it, It goes 100 times deeper, more relaxed. You've already seen me do that. Instruct or command. Well, actually, that should have been test. I'm getting my own self out of the way. Which is also lifting their arm up. You can make it stiff, or you can just by feeling it. You know that it's floppy. If it's not floppy, let go of it and say, you can let your arm drop down to your lap just as quickly as feels right for you. Right down, drifting down until they lower it. So you know they're being compliant and responsive. Commands. How do you come up with your commands without needing a script? Quite simple. Use your common sense. It's about the opposites we've already spoke about. Converting pain to pleasure and pleasure to pain. About balance. If a person currently smokes, for example, and wants to become a non-smoker, or rather, remain one, because the moment they walk through the door, you phrase everything that's always happened, then obviously you're saying things along the lines of, you no longer need, won't crave or desire for cigarettes or tobacco in any way, shape or form. As you have now become, and continue to be, disassociation, future pacing, a confident, happy, healthy, relaxed non-smoker. Making it sound as though they've left behind what they no longer want to do, and they've already become and continue to be what their desire was. If it's something they currently don't do, that they want to do, so for example, they currently don't want to public speak, say, or for some reason they know they get a promotion if they did, so there's a reason to rectify it. And they avoid it because they feel nervous, but they want to do it, then you've got to make it so that, you no longer, the past no longer worries you, bothers you, or concerns you as it once did. In fact, you find that from this moment forward, you've got a large inner reservoir of willpower, self-confidence and self-esteem within that enables you to achieve whatever you want to achieve with the greatest of ease. So that you're giving them ideas of the future. It's the opposite. It's as simple as that. You change things round. That's why it's called change work. That's why you don't need scripts. A bit of common sense. And that is direct, pure hypnosis. Hypnotise someone, deepen the trance, test their under and being responsive, give them some commands, embed it in there with a post-hypnotic, it's going to grow stronger all the time. Perhaps tell them that you'll give them a backup CD and that when they listen to this every time they do it, it'll grow stronger, more positive. And wake them up, job done. From start to finish, it can be done in like 5-10 minutes. However, as we said yesterday, people are sort of socially conditioned to the idea if they go to see a consultant or a specialist, which will be perceived as a position of authority, that they pay for things by the hour or part thereof. So that is why I came up with Complete Mind Therapy, to bung together all the elements of what you've learned, so that I can find it easy without the need to read the script to waffle shit for the best part of an hour. Let's make no bones about it, because what's the other point of it otherwise? At the end of the day, as we've shown, it can all be done so much quicker. And after lunch, the only other technique that I'm going to show you prior to the Complete Mind Therapy will be the so-called fast phobia cure. Just because it can be amusing to oneself to watch people doing it. But all the other ways could also do it as well. I'll then also show you after lunch about half a dozen different ways of hypnotising people, one of which you've already witnessed pretty much the explanation to, which was seesaw, left and right hand, left hand palm upwards, so thinking L for letter L for the left hand, leather bound, library books, going lower, all letter L's, and the right hand palm downwards, so that the middle finger can have the red R, helium balloons connected to the middle finger of the right hand, so they start rising into the air. Just helps you remember what you're saying about each hand. When you start to get a bit of a gap, and it doesn't matter how big the gap is, frankly, even if there's no gap, when you go up to them, you're still going to go up to them and touch them like we did yesterday and change the direction of the two, and then bring the hand down and the body slumps as you pretty much all of you felt and experienced it's a pattern interrupt. In the same way as the handshake thing's a pattern interrupt, but I'll break it down into the little steps after the break so that you can take notes and then do it. Because if you remember back to yesterday, the pattern interrupt stuff, most people, the mistake they make when trying it out is they're scared of what's going to happen if they do it and the person just opens their eyes. Which is fair enough, but it's just an excuse to fucking avoid trying it. Because what does happen if they open their eyes? You say something like, "That's fantastic!" Now we're just testing on what level of your mind currently is. That tells me what I need to know. So now please just close your eyes. Or, if you develop over time the confidence and the I don't give a shit attitude, when you take hold of the hand and put it against, suddenly slap it into the face, and you can see from here they've still got their eyes closed, as did happen once yesterday. I can see it, but the hand's over the face, so you may or may not have noticed, depending on what angle you were sat in the room. Fuck it, that's it, the hand's coming down, and I'm shaking them around so I can confuse them. As I go deeper, 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 deeper. Close your eyes, deeper, 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 deeper. I just act as well, that's what I fucking intended to do in the first place. And so disorientated, it's like, what the fuck's going on? Which is why the 4 steps of hypnosis are: step 1, belief and expectancy; step 2, disorientation and confusion; step 3, suggestion and repetition; step 4, so-called relaxation and sleep. Now, for lunch, I'm going to roughly break those down because you already know, believe it or not. I'm not going to make you realise that I've already, yesterday, taught you hypnosis, you just didn't realise it. Because step 1, belief and expectancy. Would everyone pretty much fairly say that we really did cover how important that is yesterday, belief and expectancy, and the fact that the person's paying you money for a session, they must have some sort of belief in what you do and expect it to work, otherwise they've just got more money than sense? Yeah. And by you acting the part and transmitting that intent and acting confident, that's further enhancing the belief and expectancy. Step 2. Disorientation and confusion. We've been doing that all weekend with all the different experiments. Getting someone to do something that's not normally something you do in itself is a bit, why is this going on? It's a bit confusing and disorientating. Going to shake someone's hand and then suddenly slapping it in the face is a little odd. Asking people to tap their face and hum happy birthday is a little disorientation and confusion. Step 3, suggestion and repetition. The power of 3. We covered that in all the little different techniques. In hypnosis, it's more direct in terms of, as your eyes remain tightly closed at all times, with every breath that you take, every noise that you hear, every word that I say, and every thought that you think, merely serving as a sign and a signal to help you relax more completely. And shit like that. Which for people watching the DVDs and also for your good selves here, if you go on hypnotherapycourse.net and enter your name and email address in the little box at the bottom of the home page, you can download free of charge my complete training manual, basically the book that's at the back of the room. You can download it for free, which contains all the scripts I've ever used in my career. And by scripts, I mean bullet point sentences. If you think back, I've used mostly only maybe half a dozen different sentences in different contexts. So you can download it for free, or if you realise the intelligent thing, because all of this 3-step thing, by the way, leads you to the last point of apparent relaxation and sleep. We call it sleep. No one's ever asleep. If they were, they wouldn't fucking hear you. It's relaxed state of mind, which is why just getting someone to close their eyes and take a few nice, relaxing deep breaths in and out can be equally effective as so-called genuine trance. But you can download it, or you make that intelligent decision that you go, 513 pieces of paper, that will be a ream of paper, all the ink and the time to print it out It's one hell of a thick book. It's probably fucking easier to go and buy one for $19.99 at the back of the room and save yourself time. On that note, for the one or two people who are going to be talking to me during lunch, can I just say that I'm going to pop upstairs and get changed. I will then be over at the pub in about 10 minutes' time. I need a beer, so let's... Oh no, we won't be over the pub because apparently the food situation's funny. Well, you can sort that, we'll be in here then, but I'm going to come back down to the back. I need a drink and a cigarette before I do a session, before we restart. So, back in here please, for 2:30, we're going to be hypnotising people. On that note, have a good lunch. See you in a bit.